Hey, what's up? This is Dillio coming to you with the week 9 update of making the Majykbox album. And in this video, I'm going to talk about how the pursuit of making music has taken an interesting turn by the way of the tools that I use. If you haven't been following my videos already, I've been doing stuff with FL Studio. So I want to talk about, I guess, how I kind of got back into FL Studio. You know, for a while I was kind of grinding my head against using Maschine and stuff like that, and by no means am I hating on Maschine or didn't want to use it, but you know, I wanted to make this music, but it just wasn't fun and I just wasn't kicking out the ideas. And a lot of times I always felt in a crunch at home after work to write the songs or to produce the songs, and then there's a certain momentum that I struggled to get going, to where you start a song, boom, the lyrics start coming to your head, boom, the songs and the melody starts coming to your head right there in that moment. And long story short, it was a situation where I actually did a gig and I wanted to bring my laptop out for the show. I wanted to do loops on Maschine, but at the last minute I couldn't get Maschine to install and boot up, and I kept on fooling around with it till it pushed my time so far back that I ended up getting late to the gig. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm going to take Windows 7 off. Yes, I ran Windows 7 on there. I have my reasons, because actually I was DJing with this laptop before and there will be no audio dropouts, but when I ran Windows 10 on it, I had audio dropouts. Long story short right there. So I took 7 off, I put Windows 10 on a laptop, and I said, okay, I'm going to make this a dedicated music making whatever. So I put Maschine on there, I put Ableton on there, and then I put FL Studio on there. And I'm like, okay, now this is all going on while I'm making, you know, trying to work on the album and get projects done for the clients, you know, because I'm kind of bottlenecking right now and I'm trying to catch up on that and get music done for people. But the thing is that I put FL Studio on a laptop and I was like, let me just fool around with it again. If you followed my videos in the past, I tried to put FL Studio onto the Mac, but ImageLine still has an alpha and it's not finished yet. And FL Studio has turned out to be a great tool for making music again. It is sort of a full circle, I guess, because for a long time, for maybe the last 10 years, I switched over to Maschine as the primary tool that I used to produce music because I was ready for something different. It was actually a time where I guess working with FL Studio felt stale and I didn't have that cool MPC thing. And you know, the funny thing was that when I saw an ad for Maschine and some producer was talking about being tired of clicking around, I was like, yeah, I'm tired of clicking around. And then a friend of mine, Greedy Boy Mac, told me about Maschine, and I was like, okay, let me get that. And so I went over, actually took the plunge and got Maschine because I was like, wow, this is going to be cool. I got a controller here, this is a hardware, and I was like, I wish FL Studio would have something like that. And we'll talk about how that's kind of full circle too as well. So I get that, and now here I am in a situation where, and I waited till they got the ability to run VSTs, because I believe in Maschine version 1.5 or 1.4, they're on 2.5 now, but at 1.5 or 1.4, something like that, around that area, you couldn't run VSTs. And here I am coming from VST world with FL Studio, which kind of was the spice of the life of what made it working with FL Studio so interesting. And so here I am going into the Maschine world, not really having all the flexibilities that I have, not having the same ability to arrange songs, not having that instantaneous time stretch, side chaining, all kinds of stuff that I had to kind of say goodbye to, that I endured when I switched over to Maschine. I had the cool hardware and stuff like that, but I didn't have a lot of things that I missed. And eventually I guess I kind of just put up with it and got over it, and it's like, hey man, I'm a Maschine guy now. And you know, that kind of goes into another thing I guess I'll talk about too, is that I'll talk about it now. You know, don't be afraid to try something different. But I think I'll wrap that up towards the end of the video because I have a lot to talk about. Because last night I was working on the Majykbox album, and it's funny, I had a beat, and this is the laptop right here. It's a Dell with 12 gigs of RAM with an AMD A8 in it. Here it is, laptop, 17-inch. A little bit big for on the go, but I'm not complaining because I'm very grateful to have it. But if I were to kind of figure out about this computer, I'll tell you the stats. Yeah, about your PC right there. And so, whoa, sound effect got triggered there. So here I am with this laptop, and I'm just drawing music software. I'm just like, So, you know, at work, I'm sitting in the car, and it just kind of clicked on me. What happens if I made a beat on here again? And I just started to experiment with it, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember this. Oh yeah, I remember that. I couldn't do that on Maschine. I like this, but I can't do that on all this kind of stuff. And I may do a bunch of videos about comparing the two, since I spent a lot of time on both, and I believe I have an established opinion on both of those. But you know, it started, and it's kind of a funny thing because I went all out for iPad mobile music making, which is great, by the way. But it just wasn't as familiar, and so putting FL Studio on there and then trying some things, and I hope I'm remembering the details, opened up an old situation, or old positive situation, because I used to just breathe with FL Studio because I spent with it so long. I was around, I used it since it was like 2.4 or 2.2 something. Like, again, I was making music on FL Studio when I was in high school. At the end of like the last 2 years in high school, a friend of mine at the computer class introduced me to it, and I didn't really pay attention to it that much. And then I finally got around to it. I was like, wow, this is great. And I got it for free. And at that time, I had an open house, and thankfully the church community that I was a part of, and just the community in general, and especially the influence of my mother and my father, you know, is incredible. I wish I could remotely have what they have. I ended up having the money to buy FL Studio, and I did. After going to Guitar Center and buying an Electribe and some other stuff, and actually smashed the Chaos Pad, the first Chaos Pad that came out. It was funny, quick thing right there. I was messing around with the Chaos Pad, and the power went out, and I dropped it on the ground because I was on a counter. I used to work on a counter in my parents' basement, and the Chaos Pad fell on the ground. I get down, and boom, I hear glass crack, or I feel glass crack underneath my foot. And you know, eventually when the power was restored and I finally got to it, the Chaos Pad was cracked, you know. So fast forward back to now, here I am FL Studio, and you know, a lot of times during the daytime, as you see I do videos, sometimes I get downtime, like maybe an hour or 2 hours, and the last thing I want to do is just waste them. So I said, why don't I experiment with FL Studio? So I started bringing the laptop, finally started getting downtime. I started making beats in the back of the car, you know, and I'm like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. And it's kind of interesting how it's full circle, because again, I had the iPad, but I just couldn't quite arrange songs the way I want to. Yet with FL Studio, because I had so much muscle memory already established, and since everything that I could think of was already there, I could create. And then so I started loading VST plugins on it. I loaded the Dillie bass back on it, you know, all kinds of different things. And I'm like, wow, great, I'm making now. And that's another thing too. Another reason why I think I started to mess with FL Studio again, because I wanted to do some trap soul and some trap music for the album and for clients. Hands down, I don't think that trap music would be what it is today without FL Studio. As far as like all the effects and arrangements and stuff like that, you still can't really get down, you can't really arrange songs in a depth that you would like to in Maschine that you could in FL Studio, you know. So here I am using FL Studio. I'm like, wow, okay, I can arrange this, arrange that. Boom. And so a lot of inspiration started flowing through, and here I am making music. I'm like, wow, okay, I'm making this beat, I'm making that beat. I want to do this trap beat, I got this idea. And it's very interesting because I have a very extravagant, to me, extravagant setup. Yet, sometimes with it being so extravagant, you're just kind of feeling around trying to feel your way. Whereas, I'll say, oh, I just said, okay, let's go the other direction. Let's go minimal. Let's go, I hate to say it, but ghetto style. You know, how would I be making music if I didn't have a room like this to make music in? If I didn't have a machine or a rack or a nice computer? How would I used to do it? Because that's how I used to do it, and I had fun. And I was making beats, and as soon as I was making beats, I'll put them on CD and listen to them in the car or on a tape cassette back in those days. And so now it's like a full circle and I'm having fun. And I definitely remember summers making beats on FL Studio and listening to them in the car through the whole summer. And that's kind of where I'm coming back to now. And it's a lot of fun, and I hope to definitely share that process with you. And you know, I mean, it's all right here, and it's a cool thing. You can take it with you and take it on the go. And so, you know, and last night was pretty much one of those nights where you made a beat almost like, I think I made the beat to the, and I was working on a song. And it's called Welcome Back to the Summer, right? And so it's very kind of 808 up tempo, because I wanted to do up tempo, and I kind of had this song in my head that kind of sounded like that Dej Loaf song. Right, so I wanted something like on that vibe, because I can remember driving a customer. It was a young lady, and she wanted to plug in her aux cord, and she was playing that song, and I mean, she was turned up the whole way down to the airport from the hotel, and she was, even though it's about catching the body, she was having fun. And so I wanted people to have that experience with my music, and so I wanted to go that direction. And it's very easy for me to kind of arrange that and make changes and sort of kind of go into making the song flow. Yes, I can do it on machine. I'm just able to do it a little faster on FL Studio. And you know, sometimes it's just cool to just, and I'm just looking at a lot of successful producers. A lot of these kids are killing it right now, and they just got laptops. Metro Boomin, Childish Major, I'm watching them, and that's all they got that I see, and they probably have more, you know. But I was like, man, I need to get like them. I speak FL Studio because that was a great part of my experience making music. And I think sometimes we get comfortable with what we have and we think, oh, it ain't nothing and stuff like that. And then we start to forget the value that we have with the tools that we have. You know, it may be a situation where I'll stop using FL Studio and go back to using Machine. You know, because a Machine still has some stronger points to me for sampling in certain ways to arrange that I don't think I got with FL Studio. But FL Studio is so well contained that it has the whole suite. I mean, I could cut records on FL Studio, make the beats on this program, and cut the records on there. So it's a lot of synergy with this program. And I just like the minimal setup. Just give me a mouse and a keyboard and let me hide away somewhere. And that's another thing, you know, in the process of making this out. It's cool to make music in different places. You know, sometimes I feel like, if I really have some downtime, I might go to a shopping mall, in a food court, with my laptop and my headphones and just my mouse, and watch people and catch a vibe that way. Because yeah, I mean, this room is cool, and if I have beautiful scenery, I'll probably have the windows open. I always like to have a studio with windows so I can see outside and catch a vibe like that. But there's different vibes that you get. Like, I'll catch a different vibe sitting in the airport in the back here with FL Studio than I would in this room. Or maybe there's a song that comes in my head while I'm out in the field, you know. So, you know, a lot of people say different things about FL Studio, and really, honestly, I don't care what people say. At this juncture, it's about how can you create and how do you create. So I can't stay conformed to just using analog synthesizers. I can't just stay conformed to making music with Machine. I can't stay just conformed with using FL Studio. But man, I'm having a lot of fun doing that. And like I said, last night I had the beat going from some beat. I think I made it like, I wasn't even home when I made the beat for the summer theme. And I was humming that song. I made the beat and rendered it and listened to it throughout the day. And then I came home, wrote the lyrics. I fired up Studio One 3, and boom, I'm in the booth recording the song, and I was able to see it through because one thing at a time, right? One thing at a time. And I made a record last night, and I got a song done. You know, I'm talking about all this stuff, all these last few weeks, struggling to get music done. Now, dude, I got some beats now. I got some, and I definitely got some stuff for the street. Now, I may be on the R&B side, I may rap a little bit here and there, but I finally got some, and that's the kind of full circle. I definitely wanted to do EDM, all that stuff, but now, you know, I can get real street, real hood with it. Just like how I used to back in the day when that was all I had, and all I had was FL Studio, and I could barely sing out loud so I wouldn't wake my parents up in my parents' basement. So that's the update. I made a record, summer theme. It came out really good. I'm probably going to listen to it again after I finish this video. Yeah, this is week 9 update of making the Majykbox album, and stay tuned for more. Alright, peace.
This video is sponsored by Khemikals, a preset library from Massive including pads, leads, bass sounds, and more. Be sure to visit DillioT2K.com to hear it live and pick up your copy today.